I have good news. It's not the big news we've been waiting for the last 3 weeks, although I do have that. I had my meeting with my oncologist today, and I do have that big news, but it deserves its own separate video. So what I'm going to do is today in this video, I'm going to talk about the news from yesterday, and then in tomorrow's video, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the news that I got today. So if you've watched my last video, you know the entire story with, this nightmare, this headache, this very confusing journey with employment insurance of was it accepted, was it not accepted? So yesterday, called, finally managed to speak to a real person and get some real answers, and surprisingly, it was the single best interaction with a governmental agency that I've ever had. I'm assuming at some point of your life you've had to deal with government in some way or another, and it's always very complicated, and they love phrases like, "I'm sorry, I'm not legally allowed to answer that question." This was not the case. The woman was super kind, super helpful, answered all my questions. I even asked her a hypothetical question, and she answered it. So the good news is, as you may have guessed, my employment insurance was accepted. Now the other questions I had was, okay, cool, it was accepted, but how much will I be receiving? How long will I be receiving it for? And most important of all, am I allowed to leave the country while receiving it? So let's go by order. So how much I'll be receiving is $668 per week, minus deductibles and stuff like that. So what I'm actually receiving is $626. But which I did the math, so it's like 626, and you know what, let me jump ahead to the other question, then I'll come back to this. The next question was for how long. It's for a total of 26 weeks, so 6 months. Now, I did the math for that, so 626 times 26 weeks divided by 6 months gives approximately $2,700 per month. Considering the fact that when I was on short-term disability with my work, I was making probably around $1,600 per month. So I'm literally making over $1,000 more per month being on employment insurance than I did being on disability, which kind of seems crazy in a way, but I'm definitely grateful for that because it's definitely going to make life much, much easier. So that's been the really good news. So okay, it was accepted. I have another full 6 months where I don't have to worry about money. And I'm actually making more money than I did before when I was on disability. So first 3 questions, really, really good news. Final question, which was, am I allowed to leave the country while I'm on EI, was not so good. And the answer, which honestly I was kind of expecting, is no, you're not legally allowed to leave the country while receiving employment insurance. However, the way that it works is it doesn't have to be 26 consecutive weeks. There's a period of 1 year during which you can access those 26 weeks. So let's say hypothetically I decide, you know what, let's go visit my wife for a month, and I can pause it during that month and then resume it while I come back and just keep going until those 26 weeks are up. So I can pause it however many times I want within that 1 year period, which is definitely a good option, but definitely not ideal because I can't afford to go to another country and live there, especially since I'm not doing it permanently. That means I also need to keep paying for all the expenses back home, like apartment, internet, electricity, all those things. So it's like, I quickly did the math. If I was to go, because now if I was to go, let's say, I don't know, for a couple weeks, let's say 2 weeks, it would probably cost me around $3,000. Because you have to calculate, all right, the flight there and the flight back, renting an apartment while I'm there, expenses while I'm there, taking taxis, travel, everything to do with that. So it would probably be a good like $3,000 to go there, no matter how long I stay. Like I'm talking like under a month, let's say. So that's kind of like the downside of the whole insurance or employment insurance situation is, okay, cool, 6 months, it's been accepted, I'm making more than I was expecting, but I'm stuck staying in Canada. And yesterday when I got the news, I didn't speak to my oncologist yet, so I didn't know what to expect. Like, all right, Were the results the same? Am I stuck here anyway? Did it become worse? Is my doctor's recommendation going to be like, hey, sorry, you'll be dead by Christmas. Go spend whatever time you have left with your wife, and all the implications that go along with that. And yes, now I do know, but I'm going to make a separate video, so I don't want to get into that. But yeah, so it's just like that was kind of the bad side, and it's like, all right, great news, but you know, it could be better. Now, the hypothetical question that I asked was, hypothetically speaking, if I decided to go to another country while receiving EI, and I just didn't tell anyone and pretended like I was still in Canada, what could happen? And she's like, well, the government has 7 years to request any money that you owe them. So if they found out during that 7-year period, you would, one, need to repay all the money back that you received while you were outside Canada. Number two, there would be interest fees on the money that you owe them. And number three, there would be penalty fees. Plus, technically, if I did that, it would be illegal. I would be lying to the government. And legally speaking, I don't know if there would be any other repercussions. And in general, it seems like a bad idea to lie to the government, because if you get caught, you're basically screwed. So definitely not something, like not a road I would want to go down, but I still felt the need to ask and to have that information. Because in a situation like this, you want to be able to have all the information possible so you can then sit down, talk through it with your spouse, and make the most educated and logical decision given the situation. So even though, you know, that's definitely not really in the plans, I don't really plan on doing that. I hope I don't have to do that. But, you know, I'm glad that I asked. I'm glad that I have that information. So overall, very good news. And then, you know, today the other news, the big news we've been waiting for the last 3 weeks. I'm going to make another video for that, so you'll be able to learn all about that tomorrow. So definitely yesterday was a very, very good day. Even though, you know, I recorded the other video yesterday, the one about like I'm very confused, like I don't know anything. Even though it was that same day, like when I recorded that video, I was very confused. I didn't know anything. It's only later that day that I was able to call and get all this information that I just shared. So yesterday was definitely a very good day. And today, well, unfortunately you'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out if it was a good day or a crappy day. So thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.